Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 297 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's getting seasick with me tonight?
Hey, everybody. It's Kenneth, Sanity, and much like this game, I also end with a Marilyn Manson song.
I did not know
Wait,
that.
does? I didn't know either. This is Joe Butler, and I sure hope nothing gets in my mouth while I'm asleep.
It's Joseph Larrey, and seasickness is the least of my worries with this game.
So we are here to talk about a game that's been on my list to play for, God, probably 20 years. Almost. Well, no, it came out in 2005, so 19 years. I've been thinking about this game ever since it came out. We were talking about Cold Fear, developed by Darkworks, published by Ubisoft. Came out in 2005 and is Ubisoft's first horror game ever made. Or published by them.
Really?
That's what the internet told me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with Ubisoft's track record, do y'all think we're going to get a remake of this? No?
Oh, God,
yes? No?
Yeah.
They don't need to remake this. Just leave it alone.
The sales of this game? Absolutely not.
Do, though.
It
Kinda
sold 18,000 in its first year.
But think how good this could be. But the RE2 treatment?
Yeah. Who wants to guess what the release date for this compared to RE4 is for the GameCube?
I know.
I don't.
A month.
Yeah.
It is in fact months. This game was March 2004?
2005.
2005. RE4 was January 2005.
Oh,
How
wow.
the fuck was I in a storm sewer in January? I bumped my head the day before RE4 came out and got really sick, called into school and picked up RE4 the day it came out because I skipped school that day. My friend called me and said, "Hey, how's RE4?" I'm like, "I don't know, I'm sick." So,
Womp womp.
but yeah, that's how I know. So that's why that comment. I was like, huh. Okay. And no, because I personally thought this game was a imitation of RE4, but when I found out it literally came out months after, it's like, no, this isn't. This was whatever they had planned, and honestly, it plays better than RE4. I mean, in the sense of you can move while you shoot.
Well,
That's it.
Oh yeah, you can move while you shoot. I mean, it's based off the beta because I'm always a huge fan of looking up what beta versions of games look like, and like the original non-Devil May Cry RE4 was supposed to look like this, where you could have it was supposed to have fixed camera angles, and when you aimed, it would zoom in behind you. So you could technically still argue this stole it from RE4 because RE4 had that concept way before it came out.
That's fine, though. I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying to, ape something like that. It's just that this wasn't like, oh, RE4 did gangbusters, let's make a game. This was, hey, this looks cool, let's make a game. And I'm more okay with that. Oh, and I forgot to ask what our history is. I said mine. Joe, what's your history with this game?
I have no history. This has always been on my list of games I need to play. And spoiler, I did not beat it because I have no time. And also, Spooktober, I've got shit to do.
And Joseph.
I rented this game back at my Giant Eagle video, and either I never returned it or bought it when it closed because for some reason my copy is still in the Giant Eagle box.
And Ken.
Much like you, I don't have a history. This is one that I always wanted to play, and I'm really glad that the show gave me that opportunity to finally suck it up and do it.
That's why it's on the show.
Yes.
It was just like, I was just like, man, I've been thinking about this game for too many years.
So fun fact with Mike's games, whenever he requests games, that I have been on my list, and there's only been a few I haven't played, either because they are genuinely too fucking spooky and terrifying, and I'm like, oh man, this is really spooky and terrifying. How long is it going to take for me to beat this? Fucking 20 hours. I'll just watch someone beat it real quick. Or it's, all right, time for me to play this. Oh, this game's like 4 hours. I got halfway through. I'll just watch someone else play this.
That's fine. I mean, you didn't miss too much. So, I mean, the way I played this game was I literally had a YouTube video open up, and I did what he did, but with save states.
Also, you played with you played emulator, right?
Oh yeah, I wasn't playing this on. This game is too fucking hard to play legit.
What?
Did anybody else play this game legit?
I played this game legit.
I played it legit too, yeah.
So
I am what's known as a pan.
I played it on Steam. That is the wrong way to play it.
I don't know. It was fun.
You play with keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
Joe is also not a keyboard and mouse player. That also does not help.
Why were you playing on keyboard and mouse?
Because my controller died.
Oh.
That's
My controller's wired.
not like the battery died, it just stopped working.
Oh, I have a fake 360 and a fake PS3 controller. Because when I do play PS2 games, I use the fake one, the fake PS2 one.
Game Sir controller was just like, no, sir.
Hey, at least you got to work. I played this on Steam Deck emulation, and I mean, I felt like it would have been hard, but I was save stating constantly. It was only really in the final boss fight where I was like, okay, this is a little tough. I didn't understand what to do.
Yeah. The final boss fight is something.
Something
stupid.
Oh, what, Joseph?
I was just saying, that's putting it mildly with the final boss.
I mean, it's the era. Like, think of like Ratchet and Clank. I know it's a few years before this, but PS2 era was like, hey, how can we make this last fight really fucking annoying? So that's just PS2 era, I think, in a nutshell at times. So for those that don't know, this game's a third-person action shooter horror game where you play as a Coast Guard guy who apparently was a Navy SEAL at one point who gets blackmailed pretty much goes on a ship because a bunch of Navy SEAls die. They send one guy from the Coast Guard.
Well, I mean, they didn't send one guy. There were two teams, and he just happened to be the last one alive.
But they don't send more people, or would they let him leave?
No, because he's already on the boat.
I mean, it is a unique horror setting. I only remember one other horror game I played that took place on a boat, and that was Resident Evil Dead Aim, and that don't count.
I'm gonna bop you in the fucking head, Mike.
Why, you remember that game?
No, fucking Revelations also takes place on a fucking boat, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Also, a couple Dreamcast games like Carriers this game literally is just a copy of Carriers from the Dreamcast.
Never played Carrier. I didn't even know Carrier existed. Revelations I did play and put on this podcast. I just completely forgot it existed, apparently. So
does Overblood take place on a boat?
No, Overblood takes place in a base underground.
Okay.
Overblood's also terrible.
There's Deep Fear. That's a Saturn game set on a boat.
I do not play enough horror games. Plus, I've never played Saturn or Dreamcast. Really, those are two systems that I completely skipped out on, and I still have yet to really emulate either of them much.
Oh, Dreamcast is super easy to emulate.
Oh, I've done it. I played Cannon Spike on this podcast for some reason.
What's that really goofy horror game on the Dreamcast? I need to get Mike to play that one.
There's a couple. Are you talking about? There's Blue Stinger. There's
good.
Are you talking about the one with like the theme park?
The theme park one.
Yeah, I know.
I forgot the name.
Illbleed.
Yes.
Yes, I need to make you play Illbleed.
Good luck. I've seen it.
I think it's hard.
I mean, I'll be cheating so I can make it work. Like, I mean, that's the thing is my rule of thumb is if I struggle with save states, your game is too hard. I didn't really struggle in this game, but like that's always my rule of thumb. Like if I'm having a hard time and I'm save stating constantly, your game is too hard when I'm on easy difficulty. I mean, this game does do some unique things. I mean, you're able to move while you shoot, which was a first at the time because Resident Evil 4 is the only other game that's like this, where you can't do that. I mean, this game does do some unique things. I mean, you fight enemies. This is probably not that unique, but I felt it was kind of unique, where they only die if you headshot them or if you crush their head after you knock them down.
I mean, that's pretty much par for the course. It's just taking the, zombie headshot and making it necessary instead of an option.
But I feel like that affects gameplay so much because especially when I first played this, I didn't know how to crush their heads. And I would just to shoot them. And it wasn't until Joe's like, just press circle. And I'm like, oh. I was pressing X. I was pressing R1 thinking, okay, I got to go and do like the shooting button. And nothing of that was working. But you just press circle and hope that you're not actually examining the body instead you're just crushing the head first. I mean, not every game does that. Like, I played a lot of zombie games, and usually you don't have to, I mean, sure, if you crush the head is a good thing, but you don't have to. Like, it isn't a mandatory, like, they just do not die if you don't do that.
Yeah, and even if you do crush their heads, like, I had one instance where one of those things got close to it and reanimated the body.
Oh! It wasn't supposed to do that, by the way, but since probably because it hadn't registered yet that his head was crushed, it's still reanimated, is my guess.
Well, I don't know.
It's
weird.
Was it a zombie or a peepo? Because if it was a peepo, then I've actually seen that happen a couple times where the little weird face huggers will walk up to a dead body and it'll turn into a zombie.
Yeah, they do that too in this game. That's why you shoot everybody's head.
Yep.
Literally every room I went in, I shot off all their heads. So even if they were just on the wall, I'm like, nope, head comes off.
Yeah, no, that's the proper way to do it.
I mean, this game is unique. So, Joseph, what did you think when you first played this game back in whenever you rented it?
Yeah, I really like the scenes on the boat because you actually have to take into account like the weather and the boat swaying. It can affect your aim. And during this playthrough, I got nailed by like a crane hook that was just swinging around. So I do like that you can use a lot of the environment to your advantage, and also, get knocked off the boat, and then you can hang on the rails to steady your aim and stuff. So there are really cool ideas, especially on the boat section of this game.
Yeah. It felt unique because Revelation takes place on a boat, now that I was reminded, but it didn't have any of these boat mechanics, did it, Joe?
No.
Okay, I'm sure I remember that. The fact that when you're on the front of the boat, you can feel you have a resistance meter. I'm like, what the hell is this? And it wasn't until later on that I understood how that is your stamina, essentially. Why they call it resistance, I don't know. But if you're on the boat and the boat waves too much, you run out of stamina, he'll slip and fall and almost fly off the boat.
It's pretty cool that to make that ship move realistically, they had to do a whole program while writing the game to allow axis movement on vertical and horizontal for the boat.
That is cool.
And this company is known for making programs to allow interesting behaving things. Their first game, Darkworks' first game, was Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare.
Never played.
It's a game.
Yeah, that's what the internet was telling me too when they were talking about it.
But for all the problems that game had, the fire mechanic was cool.
Oh yeah, with the flashlight and stuff to fight the shadows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Darkworks did some cool stuff in that game. And this one, I think, is no exception. In the first half, the game is fresh and interesting and a different kind of setting than people were used to. Well, than I was used to.
I mean, same here. I've never played any of those. I've just played Revelations, which comes out years after this. But, it felt refreshing. I haven't been on a boat very often, so in a horror game. I try not to in real life, but I don't like boats. I don't like water. I don't want to be in an open water. That's neither here nor there. Ocean terrifies me. But just the way that this game did feel unique in that there's parts that are flooded where you can shoot electrical box and kill the zombie in there and have to wait in the intervals when it isn't shocking. How many times people jump out of things and come after you is decent amount. The boat is well contained. My only issue was that you didn't have a map. At least if you did, I didn't know where it was.
Oh no, there's none.
Okay, good. I didn't think I was being that dumb. I pressed every button. I was checking the menu. I don't see a map because then the guy's like, oh yeah, go to the kitchen. I'm like, where the fuck is the kitchen?
Well, if you actually looked at the game manual that comes with the Steam version, there is a rudimentary map of the whaling ship.
Oh.
Do you also want to know something that's really going to piss you off?
Sure.
So there are Russian signs all over the boat. Ken, how'd you read those?
I used Google Translate, the camera function.
All you had to do was aim at them, and it would tell you what it said.
Oh.
Yeah, because it says beginning, he can speak Russian.
Yeah, so
I never bothered to aim at the signs.
Yeah,
but you did it the cooler way.
I use technology, baby.
I just used a YouTube video and watched what he did after a bit. I did play the first half of the boat, just playing it, and then I was like, okay, I'm an hour into this game, and I'm going to find a YouTube video and just watch that. That's why I play most horror games, that I just watch the video and do what they do. It's because I don't like horror games that much, so a lot of times that feels the safest way for me to play them. This game is technically a survival horror game, but they do a couple of things that I appreciate, at least on easy. If you get low on health, an enemy will drop health. I noticed. I didn't get low on health that much, but they would drop health.
The vending machines drop health, too.
Yes, that was cool.
Vending machines drop health?
Yeah, if you talk to them enough.
The drink machine, specifically.
And most enemies have ammo, which I really don't like in any, especially horror games, when I shoot a guy and he doesn't drop ammo and I'm just wasting ammo on enemies that won't give me more ammo. Where in this game, since they all were humans at one time, usually they'll drop ammo after you kill them.
I think my favorite thing about this game, as far as, the pickups and enemy stuff, if you use one of the barrels and blow them up, the body's too burned, you can't get anything off that.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a fun little thing.
I mean, this game does have some really cool moments. I mean, I do think the game is not as good in the second half when you go to the oil platform.
Yeah.
But it's still fine. I mean, the story was enough to keep me interested. I was curious where it was going to go because it's a little unique.
Yeah, it's at that point in the second half of the game where it really does become more of a Resident Evil clone. But, that first part of the game with the tanker, I thought that was fun, creative. I had a good time with it. And that beginning section on the tanker is the one reason I would love to see a remake of this game.
Yeah, but Ubisoft can't put it up. It's not a Far Cry or an Assassin's Creed, so they're not interested. Or Rayman. No, I mean I agree. I think a remake of this could be quite good. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it could be quite good. So I did buy this on Steam too, a long time ago just to support it. But I mean, because I will do that. If you will sell it to me on Steam, I will buy it and give you my $3 when it's on discount, and then I will play it on emulation. But at least I will own it.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that's what I paid for it too. I was waiting for it to be on sale. I was like, oh, and buy that for the podcast, $3.
Well, at least then you're supporting it, and it makes me feel better when I'm emulating stuff like because I try to put my money where my mouth is. Like when Castlevania Dominus Collection came out, I bought it within a couple days. I'm like, I'm like, fuck it, I want it. I was trying to wait for a sale, but I'm like, fuck it, just buy it. So, and anytime I emulate games, I try to, if they will sell it to me on Steam for a reasonable price, I will buy it on Steam because it's the right thing to do. I won't play it on Steam, but I will buy it on Steam. So was this game hard without save states like for you guys, or was it playable?
I feel like the game lets you save enough for I wasn't that like freaked out over it, so
It wasn't too bad. I think there was only maybe one instance where there was a long gap between save points, which was a little frustrating, but it was manageable.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just terrible with horror games, so if I have the option, I cheat. I can't help myself. I'm upset that one of the upcoming games we're doing on the show, I cannot cheat, and it sounds awful.
What is it?
Downcoming.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not excited.
Yeah.
Not at all, but I have a Steam Deck and I'll figure it out. But hey, worst case, there's always cheats you can find for PC.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
I've done it before for a couple of games, but very, very few. Usually I can force my way through something. But yeah, PC you can always mod if you have to. I'll figure it out, but that's coming up. I'm not excited. I did appreciate like the story of this game is we kind of were mentioned like he's on a boat, but the whole idea is that on this oil platform, the Russian mafia had dug up little aliens that were underground. They woke up, and then these aliens would go inside people's mouths and infect them, and then they turn into zombies essentially.
And
so that's the idea of what.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out how to militarize this. Make it profitable for their country to have an edge in wars, which of course,
as people do.
Yeah,
I mean it's a science fiction trope, but it's also a real trope, so it's okay.
Which is weird because that's what the Alien franchise turns into, but that's whatever.
I mean, spoiler alert, that's what we talked about yesterday, which you will not hear for a little bit, but yes. I was thinking the same thing, like, I didn't plan that on purpose, but it's funny how I'm talking about two different things in the same weekend that kind of have a bit of this, both get in, an alien goes inside your body, through your mouth.
One thing that I do like, which usually goes for games, is what kind of weapons you usually get. I wasn't a real big fan of like whenever you switch locations, you lose your weapons, but you only lose them for like maybe 5 minutes, and you immediately get them back from like other shit on the ground.
But at least it's a realistic reason that you lose your weapons.
That too.
Like
and
you jump into the ocean, and that's a lot of stuff to carry in the ocean.
And through from what to where I got, I think the only weapon that I was like, oh, this is kind of whatever, is the spear gun. It's supposed to like attract enemies or some shit. I really understand what that was about.
A lot.
Yeah.
Invisible guys.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
I didn't listen to what the game said, so I shot people with it. I'm like, this doesn't do anything. I didn't realize that the way you're supposed to use it is shoot the wall so it attracts enemies. I thought it was just like had some kind of like poison to kill them.
I think my favorite with the one though is the shotgun, which has no laser pointer, so you just kind of have to rough it, but it still works in the end.
The one thing I dig about this is that the first weapon you start with, that handgun, is a viable gun to use throughout the whole game.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it never gets overpowered. It never gets, outclassed by the other weapons. It's still a solid go-to weapon that you can use all the way up, even to the end game, the final boss. You can use the handgun.
You don't have a choice if you run out of ammo, like some people did.
Yeah.
So, because that's the only ammo that the dead body will drop on that platform is handgun ammo. So
Also,
if someone thought the game was almost over, said, fuck it, let's use all my ammo and shoot everything, game didn't go over too well, so in the end. I used a lot of ammo.
Also, I think out of the 7 weapons in the game, only 2 of them have flashlights, which is your handgun, and then you eventually find like a machine gun with a flashlight on it.
Oh yeah, you get the 2 machine guns. I only used the AK. I didn't use the other one very often. You get a flamethrower, which I only used once or twice.
Oh, that flamethrower is that's rough.
I used it on a hive. There's like 2 times I ran into like little alien producing hives, and I'm like, okay, let's just burn this fucker.
Yep, that's a great use for it.
That was the only use I found. Plus, I didn't get ammo for it. I'm like, I'm just gonna save this. Save it forever. That's what you do in a horror game, right? That's what I do.
You don't get ammo if you're full, though. Like, that's the thing.
Oh, good point.
So, like, you got to use it to get ammo for it. Another thing I like about this game.
You can hold enough ammo, though. Like, this game, like, early on in the game, it tells you, like, oh, hey, be careful with your ammo. It's limited. But it didn't, at least on easy, I never felt like I was really running out of ammo. Except at the end of the game. I mean, for the most part, I was fine.
And that's why I would not really call this survival horror. Like, you have entirely too much ammo throughout this game.
Action thriller?
Horror thriller, yeah. Horror thriller.
That's how I prefer my horror games, to be thrillers and I'm not a big survival horror guy. I play enough of them, but I'm not a big survival horror.
Like, survival horror is there's a lot of inventory management to deal with, and here there's really no inventory.
No, I mean, you just pick up key items here and there. You really just get key cards.
Yeah. Key cards and codes, and in one weird case, an eyeball.
That was strange. I'm like, why is this guy on this thing just fighting you for?
Because you're American.
Mm.
You're also the Coast Guard, the weakest of the military people or whatever.
I don't want to say it.
Shots fired. No offense to Coast Guard.
You were in the military. You can say it.
No offense to Coast Guard, but y'all suck.
No offense to the Coast Guard, but no one ever uses you for anything in media, and I apologize.
No. That is not true. There was a Kevin Costner movie about the Coast Guard. Ashton Kutcher was in it. Does anybody remember that?
I know it. I remember it exists now that you mention it, but I don't even know that. I can't even remember the name. What did you say, Joseph?
I just said vaguely remember it.
What was that movie?
I thought you were. He's like, I gotta look it up.
Yeah, no, I do have to because it's now bothering me.
I forgot it existed, and then you said it, and a vague memory of a trailer popped in my head of Kevin Costner rescuing someone at sea and Ashton Kutcher on a helicopter.
The Guardian.
What year was it?
2005.
2006.
Oh! That was damn close.
And it was directed by Andrew Davis, who also directed one of my very favorite movies of all time, The Fugitive.
No.
Oh, please. I called it because you have to be post 9/11 to put Ashton Kutcher in your fucking military movie. You're running out of actors by then.
Well, that, and it's a different time. I mean, 9/11 affects so much. I mean, this feels like a product of, the fact that we are out of the Cold War, and we've been out of the Cold War for a while, but Russians are still seen as the villain. So.
Well, at least it wasn't Russian military. It was Russian mafia.
Yeah. Mafia is fine. Criminal organization can always be a good villain. This game is also creepy as fuck, though, multiple times. I couldn't see sometimes. That I don't like that.
I couldn't see shit either. It's okay.
Oh, the decision to attach the only flashlight you have to the handgun and later to the MP5, like that was a choice, but I would say there was more good in that than bad.
Because it's on guns that, one, you have from the beginning that is considered your weakest gun, even though it's not that weak. But yeah. I think I thought it made sense. Okay, at least it wasn't you had to equip a flashlight and then switch to your gun when you wanted to shoot in the dark.
Doom 3, baby!
I like Doom 3, actually. So, also on this podcast.
Yep.
The boat, everything felt believable. When you get to the oil rig, that's when the game gets a little bit more science fiction. Like, you have that underwater tunnel. I mean, that's not science fiction, but like everything is just going on, like with all the different experiments. It's where you fight a few different monsters. You fight a few big giant ones because you have to, because it's a game. Yeah, I wasn't bored of this game because it's too short to get bored. I felt.
That's a really good way to say it. Jesus.
It's only the video I watched, which was not a speed run, was like 3.5 hours or 3 hours and 15 minutes took him to go through this whole game, and he did not do it perfectly by far.
Yeah.
So like that's how I was able to. That's how I judge in horror games where I'm at. Is I just find it. Unfortunately, I don't remember if it had comment. No, it didn't have commentary. But then I try to find a speedrun with commentary, or not a speedrun, but just a walkthrough with commentary, and then that's how I play. That's how I can judge how far I am in a game too, to know how much I have to get done before the schedule.
So the fastest speedrun record of this on speedrun.com is 44 minutes 37 seconds.
That's what I'm watching right now, actually, while we're talking.
Wow.
And it's not glitching, by the way. Just to let you know, he's not glitching through rooms. He's just running through the entire game very quickly.
Wow.
Goddamn.
That's pretty
Short game.
impressive.
But it's not a bad short game. Like, the game doesn't overstay its welcome. It doesn't feel like it ended too quickly. It was just, like, I thought it's a decent PS2 game.
That script, though. Jesus.
He talks like when I pretend to talk like Tidus from Final Fantasy X.
The damn thing's stuck.
You'll never get that from me. Uh-huh.
God, it's so bad. The dialogue is horrendous.
We're going for that B movie camp, right?
Yeah.
This is beyond B. This is
original Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Your robo's a jail sandwich.
Like no one's a master of unlocking, but
No, I have one better for you. There's one line of dialogue. I had to I think I was already I'd already started because when I stopped playing is when I got to the tanker and I got to a save point. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty much at the halfway point. I think I should be good. I had to rewind it because I was watching a video of it, and it's just like there's a part where it's like, all right, here's your code. You better do what I say, but I've got to save Anna. What are you gonna do? Shoot her like your last girlfriend? I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
yeah. Where's that backstory?
Oh, yeah, they never do elaborate on any of that. Like, none of that.
I want further adventures with Tom Hansen. I want to find out how he killed his girlfriend.
They didn't say he killed her. They said he shot her ass. Now it's different.
Well,
Hey, he works for the Coast Guard, not the police. So he might have just shot Ninja.
in the instruction manual, Tom Hansen's character description is listed as once a hero, now disgraced. Hansen is happy to fade into the woodwork as just one more guy out there saving lives with the Coast Guard. But, why was he disgraced?
Because he shot his girlfriend.
Oh, why?
Accident.
Accident doesn't disgrace you.
It does if you're in the military. I actually think that's super frowned upon.
I love how I'm gonna talk about the instruction manual for a little bit because I love instruction manuals. I do. And it's wild. The story overview reads like one of the ones I would have done for the podcast. May I read it?
Please
May
do.
I read it for you? Tom Hansen is just another guy in the U.S. Coast Guard when his crew receives a mysterious order to undertake a hazardous rescue mission in the teeth of a winter storm. As the waves surge higher, Tom and his crewmates find the vessel, an abandoned Russian whaling ship. They board it, but discover the ship has only been abandoned by human life. Something else is on board, something deadly, and soon Hansen is the only one left who can stop it. Joining forces with the only other survivor, Hansen must battle the inhuman menace and seek out its very heart for a confrontation that could have consequences for all humanity.
That does sound like a Ken story.
Doesn't it, though?
Yeah, it does. It had kind of like the way that you like to describe movies.
And, they go to describe the characters. Fine. Okay. They have character models for all of them, including CIA agent Jason Bennett, who you never fucking see in the game.
The fuck?
I think you see one cutscene of him with sunglasses on behind a computer table.
Is that him?
I think that's what my brain told me. That doesn't mean it was correct.
His character description is amazing. Agent Bennett has been watching the situation for a long time. Patiently, like a spider in the center of its web, he's waiting for his chance to unravel the mystery, no matter how many lives it takes to do so. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, that's kind of a weird way to put it.
It sets him up to be the bad guy.
Yeah, he's Wesker.
To be fair, the way a lot of this game plays, I feel like there is a chance that they were probably like, oh, if this does so well, we'll get a sequel, and this sequel never came.
Well, when you sell 18,000 copies in your first year and you release in March, you ain't never getting another game.
Which is there's so much story here that I want more of.
Same.
Yeah,
I think it just came out too close to Resident Evil 4. I think that's the problem. But I think this game was damned if you do, damned if you don't, because had it came out any later, it would have been really considered a clone. It was just RE4 came out and that was their problem. They didn't beat RE4.
Mm-hmm.
if they would have beat RE4 to market, I think this game would have done good for the moment up until RE4 released. Because there's honestly nothing really wrong with this game. It was fine. It was fun. It was entertaining. It adds a new element with the fact that you always got to look for the little crab enemies, the aliens that come out of bodies at times, and just watch for them in general and shoot dead bodies a lot. Like, the game made me do things I haven't done in games often. So, the story's batshit insane, but, that's fine.
Yeah. I like the exocells, like the little head crab looking things. It adds a verticality to the gameplay that there isn't otherwise, which is kind of cool. Like, you got to check up on the ceiling and watch for these things. Like, they lower and raise up. And those dog exos also, they jump on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, they suck.
Yeah, they took too many shots.
I do like, though, in this game, like, you can see the dark things. You can see the enemies in the dark because their eyes glow. Like,
also,
it's pretty cool.
Almost everything is optional for enemies, by the way, too. Which I didn't know that because I don't play like that. But watching the speedrun, almost every enemy is optional. The game does not force you to kill enemies to progress. Often.
I was gonna say because I think there were 2 moments that I had, maybe 3. Let's go with 3. Solid 3. Solid 3 moments that I have are really bad. One, I don't remember what it was, but there was a room where I couldn't continue unless I beat all the enemies, and the enemy was stuck on something. The second one was I was lost for like a solid 5 minutes, and I'm like, where the fuck am I supposed to go? And I'm just standing. I go to the same door 3 times, and on my way out the third time, I'm walking. I'm like, maybe I missed something in the other area again. I literally got shot in the chest, and there's a bunch of enemies waving me to go over there to kill them. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to go that way. And then with the part where you have to go to the crow's nest, there was an enemy stuck on the fucking environment, and I literally had to run all the way back down just to shoot him in the head and run all the way back up.
Huh. I didn't have any of those problems when I was playing. Anything I noticed, at least. I also watched a video, because no map! It's stupid that it's a horror game with no map. Oh, that bothered me. So later on as the game progresses, you get infected twice, because you get infected first on the oil rig, and you get the antidote from the doctor. Then you get infected a second time because you drop down a hole into an alien hive. And I like how he has only one more antidote, and he finds a girl that's also infected. He's like, well, I can save her, I can save myself. So he saves her, he passes out, and supposedly she wakes up and had an antidote on her and then saves him.
Is that what happens? Because I thought it was kind of ambiguous as who got the antidote.
Supposedly YouTube, the multiple YouTube videos I watched told me that she saved him. But no, the game doesn't tell you.
How?
Hey, we'll never know either way in the sequel, so it doesn't matter.
It's like when what is the Game Boy Advance Resident Evil game? Resident Evil Gaiden ends with Leon bleeding from his cheek, and it's green, so it's implied the real Leon's dead and got replaced with whatever. Because I think the bad guy of the game's someone who can turn to other people, but his blood is green. So it's implied that Leon didn't make it out, but it's never brought up ever again in the entire Resident Evil series.
Because that game is not canon. I do want to play that game though someday. That game's been on my mind for years too.
But you fight on a. I think it's also on a boat.
It's also on a boat, yes.
Yeah.
And you fight with Barry.
I want to play it. I really do actually want to play that game.
It's not as bad as people make it out to be.
I didn't think so. It's just people just are crazy about things.
People get hyperbolic.
Ken?
Oh, I was just saying, people get hyperbolic about stuff. If it's even slightly bad, it's the worst thing ever made. It's shit on your grandma's grave.
There's only been a few games that I have played on the show that I have genuinely hated. Just hated. There's not many, but there's been a couple. Most games are redeemable. This game isn't even, I wouldn't even say this game's really mediocre. It's just a good third-person shooter. It deserves more love than it gets. Which kind of bummed me out because I'm with you. I would have liked to see more where this goes. I mean, because at one point you rescue a girl on the ship, and then you find her, and then when you eventually rescue her on the oil rig, she's the one that tells you, okay, we're going to set explosives, or someone tells you you're going to set explosives and blow up the rig. And at one point, I know you have to get data on the data from the scientists about those aliens, and you only send the antidote, and then it gets mad at you. It's like, hey, where's the rest of it? Because he wanted to use it as a weapon. Who would have guessed?
If you want it, you're going to have to come get it yourself. Slam
really
a lab shop.
Is that really the line?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not good.
I did play this game with sound. I did not pay any attention to the dialogue, apparently, but I did play this game with sound because I felt like I try to play all horror games with sound because it adds to the game, and two, you needed to realize what's around you at times. And this is one where it helped to hear. I hear footsteps that aren't mine. There's someone else here. I hear an alien scurrying around. I better go look for him. I like when the exo things attack you and see little tentacles that shoot from off screen hitting you and kind of follow. Oh, they're over here. Little touches. This game also had some good environmental effects where you can shoot fire extinguishers and you can shoot barrels and all the like you talked about before, the burning stuff is all really well done. The waves are cool when how they can hurt you too when you're on the ship or on like
those waves can fuck you up.
Yeah, they'll kill you.
There's a really cool moment where I was on the ship and like my character stopped and I almost slid off the fucking end of the boat and I was like hanging off the edge.
Yeah,
because you ran out of endurance or resistance, as they call it in this game. Because if you run too much, you build down that meter. And that will fuck you up in certain points.
Like, I got hit by that first wave, and half my health was just gone, which makes sense. I mean, it slammed me into the side of the boat. So, yeah, that probably hurt a bit. And just little things like that I like. You know, getting hit in the head with the pulley, that swing due to the waves. That's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Cheap shot, but kind of cool.
I appreciate that the game had those aspects to it. Because it is, I mean, I haven't played the other games that you guys mentioned earlier for Saturn and Dreamcast, but I feel like maybe that's a unique, I mean, was that in those games, do you guys know? Or Joseph?
Not so much the environmental stuff. Yeah, no, those were really in that. I don't think the technology could handle it.
Fair. I don't even know what Saturn really can do, because I never played Saturn, unfortunately. I've never played a single Saturn game in my life.
It's a mixed bag.
So, which is just weird to me, because I'm very much a video game guy, so. Dreamcast I played one, but someday I gotta remedy that too. So eventually you, as I was kind of mentioning, like you do blow up the platform. The part with the C4, I died. Thanks to save states, I was okay. But like the moment you set the C4, you have seconds to get out of that room and start running before it blows up. Seconds. If you examine the wrong door, you die. If you stand there too long, and I mean too long as in like 5 seconds, you die. Like, I thought it was just weird as like you just have to, and then like as soon as he runs out the door, the C4 goes off and he starts running for his life. At one point, there's like water chasing him down the tunnel. Like, why didn't you set the C4 for maybe like a minute timer? Like, why did you literally set okay 5 seconds? I didn't get that, but I mean the wave chasing after you in the tunnel was cool. I will say that.
Yeah, I like that one.
I didn't care for some of the other ones, but that one was cool. I didn't like the fact that I died instantly if I didn't move.
I do like when you first get on the oil rig, there's that bridge control area where you extend the bridge the rest of the way. And then one of those big things with the one of the big exos with the big fist comes out and starts crossing the bridge to you.
Oh, yeah.
I do like that you can press the bridge button, shorten the bridge, and he just falls off and dies.
You're like, oh, you're coming, huh? Bye.
Yeah, and it just keeps going because it's not smart. And that's great.
That is great.
That is smart too, though.
I did not do that. I think I just shot him. I shot everybody in this game. I enjoyed killing enemies in this game a lot.
I like the look of the final boss, at least from what I've seen.
You didn't have to play it, though. So the final boss is 2 phases. The first phase, your girl you're with is trying to activate something to set up a bomb.
I think she's just planting C4.
She's planting
more C4.
Yeah,
so
more
what
charges.
So what you doing? You have to distract the boss from. He'll run towards her, but if he grabs her, game over. You have to just keep shooting him to get his attention to keep coming after you. And then the second phase, because she gets into a helicopter and she can't land to pick you up until you kill the monster, which is her father. So you have to. I thought I was just shooting him and shooting him and shooting him until I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And he does say a couple times, he's like, I gotta get close, and I'm like, I can't get close. He will kill me. And when he grabbed me, he just threw me. Because you have to have your resistance meter up, which means you can't be running, which means you can't be dodging. But if you get hit, then he doesn't do the grab. So you have to set it up to where you pretty much just like step forward and dodge him. It took me a couple tries. And then if you do it that way, then he will drop or he will grab you, and then you can tap the B button or the circle button in my case, and then hit R1 and shoot him in the face. You gotta do it 3 times.
Oh, okay.
But it's annoying because you really can't run very far when you're trying to dodge him. because you got to save that resistance meter. And when you're running for your life in the boss fight, you don't have a resistance meter. So it was, and if you let it go all the way down, the endurance meter, resistance meter does not recharge super quickly. So yeah, there's the fight in a nutshell. And then they fly off together and to never be seen again. Because
What's the last line he says? Like, bye, daddy, or something like that?
Yeah.
Bye, Papa.
That's literally the line.
It's so dumb because she calls him Papa because it's literally her father. Who, one of my favorite tropes is scientist decides this has potential, so he experiments on himself. I can dig it. I understand it. It's William Birkin all over again. But
yeah,
like she's being, oh, my poor father. He's literally trying to infect you, Anna. Like he's trying to make you like him and you're being all sentimental. No.
I mean, he's not even there anymore. The idea that if a human person you know and love becomes that, they're not there anymore. Whatever was them has easily been taken over. You don't believe that? I mean, I guess we don't have a way to prove it, unfortunately.
He does kind of grunt Anna when she shows up on the helipad.
No, but he's still not. He's a monster now.
Yeah, but I mean, he still knows.
Yeah, he still says, "Get away from my daughter."
Oh, I want to infect my daughter. Okay.
So, like, he's still a person, but he's just a bad person who looks like a cross between Tyrant with, like, a Sith mask on.
Yeah, I like his big skull face.
Yeah, it's weird, but I dig it. It's fun.
They didn't need a final boss fight, but I get it. Games don't always need final boss fights. Some games are not designed for boss fights.
I mean, this one kind of did because you teased his existence already.
Yeah, there's a couple times they do, yeah.
Like, he was the one that got Anna out of the ocean.
Oh, yeah. And then puts her on in a operating table. I thought she was going to be infected, too, and come out later on as a monster.
I mean, she was infected. She just got the antidote.
The fact that they just had the antidote lying around, I find interesting.
Okay, I find it interesting that they only had one in whole problem. Oil rig. An entire ass problem. You have one antidote? One. Way to drop the fucking ball, Pavel. You screwed up.
Like, if people get infected, we'll just experiment on them. But, you don't think about the idea that, like, well, in this case, like, it's not hard to get infected. And it's not hard to continuously get other people infected because it's a fucking little alien that just keeps reproducing. Because in the oil rig, you do have those couple small parts you see very much a hive that they're building.
Yeah, which is
again very alien-y.
It's a gross hive.
Mm-hmm. Very inspired by the Alien franchise. That's how I took it, too.
And The Thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget about The Thing. I shouldn't, but I do sometimes.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. That kind of could have inspired this, too.
I mean, I'm sure there was some influence there, but, like, there's never really a question of who is or isn't infected.
Oh,
you pretty much know.
They're running after you with red eyes, so, yeah. That kind of gives it away.
And occasionally guns? Did you guys find any infected with guns? I swear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, come on. You can't do zombies with guns. Only George Romero can do zombies with guns. And even then, it's kind of iffy.
I liked it that they had guns.
RE4 does those guns.
They're not zombies, though.
That's fair.
They're closer to this, though.
The reason I like that they had guns is a dumb reason.
Okay.
If we're going to be honest. And the reason is that since they had guns and they dropped ammo when I killed them.
That's a dumb reason, but I understand it.
I told you it was dumb. Like, I wanted to make sure I came into that like, this is a dumb reason.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
Oh, and this developer made one other game after this, which was I Am Alive, which never completely came out the way it was supposed to.
Oh, they did that?
Yeah. They made I Am Alive.
Yeah. It's not a bad game either.
Oh.
No, but it was supposed to be a AAA, big action adventure survival game. It comes out as a downloadable game for 360. Still a big deal. I remember I bought it when it came out. I played it, or maybe I bought it on a sale. I bought it on a sale, but I played it and I beat it. I'm like, this is fine.
Yeah, I remember
7-year development cycle for that game.
Yeesh. Although apparently they did work on Captain America Super Soldier.
Oh, for Sega?
No, the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 one.
Oh, yeah, that's made by Sega.
Yeah, well, they contributed some to it. You know how
That's
it is.
Good game. That's a really good game, by the way.
It is.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to put it on this show. I just haven't done it yet. So
Fair.
I'm literally looking at it right now to the left of me. So I like that game a lot.
Also, just like a regular PS2 fashion game, this game just kind of fucking ends.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I missed something. Like, I was kind of tired when I finished this. I'm not going to lie. But, like, it just... That's it. It, like, just made a fart sound and was credits.
Yeah, there's not much. It just after bye, Papa. There's not much. It felt like they needed a little bit more context, or like a little bit more like cutscene or something. But the game is just it's not that game, I guess.
Apparently.
It also crashed on me the first time right after I finished it. My emulation crashed, and I had to go and beat the boss fight again. Much easier when you knew what to do, but because I wanted to get a picture of the credits. I didn't want to watch the credits. I just wanted a picture to put on Facebook of the credits to show I beat it. Because I got to make my posts.
Fair enough.
I mean, to be fair, I make those posts for me. So when I look back at my memory, go, oh yeah, I beat this game that day. So, I mean, that's
like,
the big reason I do it.
The Marilyn Manson song that plays 3 times over the credits, that's rough. It's not a good song.
Are there good Marilyn Manson songs?
Look.
I'm being true. I don't know. I don't listen to that music, so I can't say. That's why I'm actually asking.
High School Ken was very into Marilyn Manson.
Okay.
Like, Antichrist Superstar was the album for me for a while. And then, later years, I would get a little colder as his music was not as good. And then we all found out what a shithead he was. And we don't listen to Marilyn Manson anymore. But, there was what I would consider to be good Marilyn Manson songs. This one was not.
Okay.
Which is unfortunate. But
I didn't even know it was a Marilyn Manson song until you told me.
That's how I know you didn't listen to Marilyn Manson, because Marilyn Manson is a very distinct voice.
Oh, I did not. I wasn't when I was in high school and would have been around that time, the only kind of music I listened to was the 70s and 80s music and 60s, barely even some 90s, but I wasn't into Marilyn Manson or any of that type of harder rock or goth music, as I would have called it back then. That wasn't my scene.
Fair enough.
Or hip hop. I was very closed-minded on music, unfortunately. It wasn't until much, much later I finally opened up and listened to more and go, okay, like this isn't bad. Like I had a very stupid mindset. We're just gonna leave it as that. But I have grown a lot, as I always tell people. Like when people don't grow, I'm like I grew. I mean, I was not the great person when I was a late teenager, early adult, and like I grew up and became a much better person. And like you don't have to stay an idiot your whole life.
That's true.
I think another thing that hurt this game too is the graphics are nowhere near as good as Resident Evil 4.
No.
So I'm sure that hurt it too.
No, but the environments are nice.
They are. I mean, I had no problem with the graphics, but when you compare this to RE4, which I'm sure was happening consistently, it does pale in comparison. But RE4 is a different beast.
It also kind of does a whole fucked up thing, which I don't think I've ever really said it out loud a lot. But one thing I've always really, really hated about the Resident Evil games is they always do have a very heavy tone shift in the last third of the game. Whenever everything becomes like a science lab, usually the tone kind of shifts away from horror into a little bit more of an action. I'll admit this game pretty much was spooky up until the end.
Yeah, I mean, this game does have a good horror element to it because of the way the enemies are popping out all over the place, and they are quite creepy. And if you don't crush their head, they keep getting back up over and over again. So
yeah, there's good here. It's not great.
But you don't need every game to be great.
No.
You don't need, you need
true.
games just to be fun. I mean, and this game is fun enough. I didn't have a bad time playing it. I didn't like the fact that I was watching a YouTube video every time I was playing it, but that's not the game's fault. That's a me problem on purpose. So, because this is how I play horror games. I did try to play this by reading the guide, but when the guide said, go back to this room, and it didn't tell me how to get to said room, that's when the video came out.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a map. I can't be like, I got to go to the library? All right, we'll look at that. Oh, there's a library. Like, no, there's no map. So, good luck. Figure it out. I didn't think to use Google Translate or to look at the signs, apparently, with my gun. So,
for the old heads out there who remember making your own maps for old games,
Yeah.
you can do that with this one. You absolutely can. Like, everything is laid out well enough that there's a good sense of geography here. And if you're paying attention and you actually try to remember where things are, you'll be able to with not a whole lot of problem, but you really got to pay attention.
I mean, the world felt organic enough. It felt realistic. It didn't feel like it was just some video game world that nothing makes sense. Like the boat felt like a boat, and the rooms felt like they were all in the right correspondence to each other. Like you're 100% right. You could make a map, and it wouldn't be too bad. Just I don't want to make a map. One thing I do want to bring up, there are multiple times in this game where enemies are just like stuck somewhere just to give you, and you just see like a reanimated body. You can just shoot the head just for the fun of it. I did that so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like there'd be a guy just sitting there breathing on the edge, and I'm like, oh, you have a head. Well, let's take care of that real quick. Because I didn't want him to get back up. Because I do get back up. I mean, there's fights with humans and zombies, and then if the humans get killed, they'll get reanimated, which I did see happen a couple times because I couldn't hit the damn alien that I was trying to hit. So yeah, it's cool little moments.
It's a game.
Yeah. Hey, it's crossed off my backlog. Been on my list forever. I don't think I own this game, but it's always been on my list to play. So I'm happy. I'm glad. I always knocking stuff off, and I needed a short game in between the other games I was playing for this Spooktober. So I'm like, oh, this works.
Yeah, it is short.
I think I beat this in 3 days or 2 days. I beat it really fucking quick.
Oh, before we move on too far away, those invisible things.
Yeah.
They're not fun.
The worst. I like the Predator idea. I do. And I think it's really fun that if you use a steam valve, you can see them a whole lot easier.
Yeah, that's a cool... You can also shoot pipes in this game, and stuff will get shot, and steam and stuff will get shot out at the enemies.
Oh, Ken, I have a question for you. Are you playing Revelations 2?
No.
Oh, well, Mike, I've got bad news for you.
What?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Oh,
yeah.
There's invisible enemies, huh?
Yep, and you have to switch characters to see them.
Oh yeah. You gotta use.
You can tell me these things before the game gets put on the schedule and announced. Because I've only ever taken off one game off the show that was announced publicly that we were doing it, and that was Evil Dead: Hail to the King.
I will tell you right now, Mike. Revelations 2 is probably it's up there for my favorite Resident Evil games. That's the reason why I'm like, no, you should keep it on.
Okay, I mean, I do want to play it. I've always been interested in playing it, so.
No, it is a good one. I agree.
And it's 360 era. I mean, I really do believe anything 360 and onward, they usually make it so that way even a player like me the game was made easier enough to finish it. Like they want you to finish their game, so they give you the difficulty settings.
This was not 360 era.
Is it PS4 era?
Yep, PS4 and Xbox One.
Oh. Okay, it's past 360 era, and 360 era is when that starts, and I don't think it stopped.
It looks like a 360 game, but
well, Revelation 1 was 360. Oh, that's why I probably never played Revelations 2, because I did get a PS4, but the podcast starts not too long after I get a PS4. Like maybe a year later. So yeah, an Xbox One. I got one, but I wasn't gaming at the time when I got it much. No, I didn't use it, and then it died. Okay, no, I'm excited for Revelations 2. I'm looking forward to that. All right, since we're anything else to say about Cold Fear before we're on to questions, comments, and memories? I got a couple actually. People had stuff to say. You never know. Like, I never know what to expect when I post, especially when I play a game like this. I'm like, are people even going to comment? Like, do people even know this game exists?
You get 50 things.
I mean, I have got. I didn't get that much, but I did get more than I expected. I watched the entire Overblood Super Replay group from Philly Furnix. This was my Resident Evil 4 as I only had an Xbox at the time. The ship was a fantastic setting because you truly felt trapped, and staring out into the giant waves hitting the side of the boat was almost more terrifying than the monsters. I'm glad the developers tried to use the environment as much as possible. Like when you get thrown off the side from standing at the wrong place but holding onto the railings to steady your aim never seemed necessary, and I got through the game without using it once. The creatures were memorable, specifically the ones that stalk you from the dark corners in the late game is still a hidden gem that I return to often and wish we had gotten a sequel.
Hell yeah. That's a good comment. Really in depth. And yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Like, that boat is a great setting. It's a damn shame the second half of the game happened.
I wonder why they took you away from the boat. Like, I thought you were originally when I saw the guide and I saw that it was broken up into 2 sections, I thought you were going to go to a second boat because that's what my brain went to, not an oil platform.
How's second boat even work?
You just go on I just thought you just go into another boat. I thought your boat would end up like you got rescued and sent to another boat or something or somehow you ended up on another boat. That's what I expected.
You switch boats in Revelations 2. Fuck, you go 3 boats in Revelations 2. It's possible.
Oh,
not Revelations 2, Revelations 1. Remember there are 3 boats, Mike? There's a first boat and a fake out boat, and then you go to one more boat for the final.
Not really, to be honest. But you can go hear that episode on the podcast. I don't remember that game. What was that, like 2 years ago or a year ago?
Probably.
I can't remember. See, when you play over 60, 70 games a year, you tend to forget. But hey, look at the good news. When I record a podcast about it, it's engraved forever. That's why my brain looks at it. All right, and then from Rob St. John, I did a podcast episode on this game. And my reply was, I didn't even know the guy had a podcast. But apparently it didn't last long, he said. So, but hey, we covered a cool game.
Nice.
I think I'm glad to find out that more people like this game than what I realized. And then last comment from this group, from Kevin Ray Burkhammer, the rough seas mechanic was wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I think that's the main thing to take from this game is how interesting that made that first chunk of game. Like, at least to me, I thought that was, playing it this past week, I was having a great time with it. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
It is cool. And you don't get a lot of games with that type of mechanic. I can't really think of another game that had a water mechanic like that. It doesn't mean much, but nothing jumping out at me. And then from the official Laser Time community, from Mike Miley, it's still on Steam as well. Yes,
Let's rap about it.
but I did not do that. And from Reet Leach, the game is very much influenced by RE4 that never was. Only shown in trailers where a ghost/ghoul chased you around. I played this on the Xbox back in the day and made many attempts at at the PC port over the years, never finished it, not off the boat. The physical and dynamic sea sway simulation add a lot of tension to outdoor sections. The infected were bullet sponges and headshots were required, but the constant seesaw made it so difficult. If I remember correctly, infected could jump into a dead body and revive it. Maybe Night Dive will remaster like they are for the Thing PS2 Xbox.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't see that happening, but
I like it.
I do, especially the Thing getting remade. I do because I think it's been at least 2 years. Ken, you brought up the Thing for PS2, and I've been thinking about it, but when I heard that they're remaking, I'm just going to wait for that to come out now. But I do want to cover that. I feel like that'd be a good horror game to have on the schedule at some point. Because you were a fan of that game, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was super excited when they announced that remaster coming too. Like, I am juiced. I don't want to pay an exorbitant fee for it.
The good news, you just got to wait for Steam. They'll take care of it. I can't see it being that much. It's a remake of a PS2 game. I can't see it being that much.
$3.
Yeah. Like, I'm not concerned about that. Like, just to buy the original Thing is pricey.
Oh, yeah. No, that's
the only thing I'm having a problem with.
I wouldn't do that. I would just emulate it or at this point, just wait.
Yeah, now I'm going to wait. I feel good about that.
Because they'll probably have some stuff to make it easier so I can get through it. So, I don't like horror games. There's a reason why there's only one time of the year where horror games happen on this podcast, even though it went from 4 to 8. But usually they're more actiony to start it off with, and then I tend to slip more into horror as I get farther into Spooktober.
Honestly, from the list you sent me for what I'm on, I think you probably only have one really spooky game.
Yeah, Silent Hill Downcoming, Resident Evil Revelations 2, Bloodborne.
Bloodborne's not spooky.
I disagree.
I'll say Soma's probably the spookiest one you're going to play.
Oh yeah, Soma.
Hell
Soma's spooky too. Persona 4 is just I need an RPG that had horror elements, so Persona 4 happened.
Oh, you want a horror RPG? I'll find something for you next year.
I will need another one next year.
There's plenty of those. There's plenty of those kind of RPGs out there.
Yeah, I just don't know them, and I didn't ask anybody. I just went, oh, Persona 4, okay. I also wanted something that was known for number 300. I like to make the numbered episodes, like the 100, the 50, the 25 episode numbers to be stuff that is known that might get someone's attention. It's always kind of my thought with that. Okay, and then from the Survival Horror Sanctuary group, from Marion C, this game is dope. I really enjoyed playing. The gameplay can be tricky outside the boat. The control is kind of weird, but I really recommend it. From Paul Ramos, great game. From Rob Salient, this game is actually in development the same time RE4 was. It got a lot of unfair comments and claiming it was an RE4 ripoff when it wasn't really. Yeah, I always thought it was, and it wasn't until I realized, this game came out 2 months later. This is not a ripoff. This is just a game that copied trailers.
Yeah, it's like Redemption, The Raid, or The Raid Redemption, rather, and Dread. Both of those movies have very similar premises. Both of them came out around the same time, and Dread came released afterwards, so it was deemed, this is just a copy of The Raid. But it's not, and they were both in production at the same time, so whatever.
Plus, with movies, I mean, they can get made and sit on a shelf for years sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, look at I think Cabin in the Woods and I think Red Dawn, both with Chris Hemsworth, they sat on those movies until he got famous.
Red Dawn for good reason, though.
Yeah, Red Dawn. Yeah. No, I mean, yes, it's a bad movie, but they still were like, no, we're not releasing this until he gets famous, and then we can show what terrible stuff he did before he was famous when he needed a paycheck. Right from Jason Gass. Play it on OG Xbox if you can. It's quite a bit crisper with a better frame rate. This game flew under the radar because it came out the same time Resident Evil 4 did, which ultimately hurt it. From Mark Woolley, one of the best PS2 games out there. High praise. I don't agree with it, but high praise. So from the horror/survival horror games group, I got one from Michael Chanel. So fun. I'm always glad that people enjoy a game, and I'm happy to hear that this is a game that lived on for a lot of people. All right, and then before we go to that, I want to give away a Steam code. Let's see what we got. Here you go. The next code is Loop Hero. The Steam code is 4IX83Z3E2IJAL4. That is your Steam code for Loop Hero.
And take it from Ken. That game's fun.
Oh yeah, you were playing that at one point recently, weren't you?
Yep, I still am. Not right now, obviously, but great game.
I should have looked at my codes better. I found a code that would have been perfect to give away for this, but oh well, I have it now. So, all right, let's go to Shelf Stacker Box. And Joseph, why don't you lead us in?
Yeah, I'm going to put this in the stack. I think the first half of this game is really good with the environments and some of the new ideas they bring to survival horror. It just, that second half to me just kind of becomes kind of standard, doesn't do anything spectacular, and it just suddenly ending, but definitely not a bad game, but nothing too memorable either.
Okay. And Joe?
I'd probably put this in stack too. I had pretty good time with it, and like I said, if I probably had a little more time, I probably would have finished it. But it is Spooktober season, and I have other things that I also have to play. So,
and a bunch of new stuff is all coming out at the same time that I have you on the show a bunch.
Not even with that. Like, there's a game I'm playing right now with my husband called Abiotic Factor. It's basically like a Half-Life 2 knockoff, but it's a survival craft. So I'm kind of been into that recently and other stuff. I really been wanting to play the new Wukong game too. I'm really excited about that too.
Oh yeah. And Kenneth.
I went back and forth on this one a lot. I really did. Because that first half, I think, is probably one of the most stellar things I remember playing that came from that area. Like, I don't know why that first half on the boat, it really resonated with me, in case you haven't figured that out yet. It was wild. I was having a great time. It made sense. And then I got to the oil platform. And then it got generic. It wasn't as fun anymore. So I think at the end of the day, I got to put it on the stack. Like, it's, right. I might go back to it eventually just to have some fun with that first half. But I guarantee you, once that jump is made, I'm done.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'll go last. I'm going to put this on the stack also. I had fun. I had more fun than I expected. I came into this game with not really any expectations, and I left happy. I had a good, quick, fun time. I knocked a new game off my list to play, and that's part of what I do this for, is to experience new games, experience things that I would never have played if I didn't pretty much force myself by putting on a list and saying you have to play this. For some people, they don't like that aspect of it. But I do better when stuff is planned for some reason. Like, even video games I'm going to play, I like knowing that it's planned, that I have to do it. I don't know. I'm weird like that. So, yeah. No, it was good. It's a good stack game. It's nothing, nothing special. It has a special moment, but nothing to really stand out. But, yeah. All right, speaking of the game stand out, you can hear what we're talking about next week. Next week, you can hear me talk about Bloodborne, a game that does stand out.
Bloodborne.
I fucking love Bloodborne. I forgot how much I love Bloodborne until I played Bloodborne. I went, oh yeah, I love this game. So that's what you get to hear about next week. And Ken, where can people find you at?
You can find my writings on kennethsanity.wordpress.com. You can find me on Twitter at Professor Sanity, as well as my new movie podcast, which will be coming out at some point after you hear this. Keep a listen. More details to come if you're interested.
All right. And Joseph, do you have anything to plug? I forgot to ask you again.
Oh, no, you just find me on the Discord, just, snooping about.
All right. And join our Discord. If you want to be a part of the show, that's a great way to do it. Join our Discord. I asked for when I have openings on there, so you can easily join on the show. And I'm always happy to have new people join us, and you can chat with us, so please go do that. If you want to support the show, we do have a Patreon. We have 1 to 2 polls a month. You get to change the show. You get to make something happen that never would have happened, which is unfortunately been a few times on this podcast. So definitely go do that. And also want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Elena at Hell Has Free. You can follow her on TikTok and Instagram. You will see a link to her link tree in the show notes. And go check out A Gamer Looks at 40 with Bill Tucker, where he's talking about Final Fantasy the rest of this year, probably. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be the rest of this year. Whether he wants to or not, I'm pretty sure. So, all right. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, YouTube, audio only. We can be found all those, and rate and reviews wherever you get your podcast, please. I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
So long.
Bye.